Works. Hi everyone, it's Emma here from the Marketing Success Summit, and today I'm absolutely thrilled and delighted to introduce you all to Audria Richmond. So welcome Audria, and thank you so much for being a part of the summit.
Thank you so much for having me. I'm so excited. You have no idea. And I just can't wait to jump into the summit and just start talking about everything we have laid out for our guests.
Great. And I mean, you know, I've been following your career for the last couple of years in terms of B-School and just kind of in the online space. And guys, just to let you know, like Audria has just done a phenomenal job in terms of branding and personal branding herself. I mean, her business has just gone through stratospheric success, I would think it would be fair to say, over the last couple of years. So I think she's got some really great ideas to share with people. Some really, you're quite practical, I think, as well, in terms of how people can go about it. And I know you've got a couple of mini courses and kind of more, you know, different types of courses going on that maybe people might like to join in with. In particular, got to do with live stream and vision boards and whatnot. And maybe you can tell people a little bit more about that as we go on. But genuinely, I'm so excited to have you here.
Thank you. Thank you. I'm excited.
So just to give people an idea as well, you're a branding and marketing genius, quite literally. And I know you do website design as well, is it? Or is it mainly branding that you kind of focus on?
Yes, I do graphic design as well.
Mm-hmm.
But I kind of like to lead in the strategy side of things, because me knowing how to do it makes it easy for me to help my client versus me actually doing the work. Like if they want to hire a designer, I know how to work with the designer because I am a designer. So I'm one of those people where if I learn a skill, it's easy for me to direct and assist with my clients.
Mm-hmm. Great. And actually, it's great to hear you making that actually division of labor really there, in terms of when people go to a website designer, a lot of times people don't realize that sometimes some web designers aren't fully kind of up to speed, if you like, we'll say, about branding. And because I don't
have no idea.
Yeah, basically, I'm being really nice here.
Yeah, no, you said it right. They have no idea.
And, you know, because I don't do website design, but I do a lot of strategy like yourself, and I'm kind of the middle woman sometimes between like a web designer and, you know, and sometimes we tell them, it's like kind of like going to the hairdresser. Sometimes you tell them kind of all about what they're looking for, and it's kind of like going to the hairdresser, and I don't know, because you've got similar hair to mine, and I tell them don't cut off much, and they cut off everything, and I'm like,
yeah, they're like, oh, we're just clipping edges today. I'm like, that's not what I asked you to do, ma'am.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, and it's kind of the same with web design, actually, funny enough. So they're like, yeah, and then they give you what they think that you like. But anyways, that's a whole other different conversation. But I guess today, what I'd really love for you to share with people, Audria, if you don't mind, is just kind of maybe a little bit of your backstory, even just giving people a sense of, I suppose, your brand and your style and kind of how that's evolved, because I think that's a good starting point for people to get to know you and also understand, maybe they might identify, I think, then with your journey then as well.
Right. Okay, cool. So I started off as a professional photographer and graphic designer, and that kind of went on into me publishing a magazine. I published a magazine out of frustration, mainly because nobody was publishing my work. And I was like, well, why wait on somebody to contact me when I can create my own platform? And I would think that's where kind of independence started getting activated, because at that point, I realized that I could begin to create my own opportunities as opposed to waiting on somebody to give me the green light. So I created this magazine out of frustration, and I was able to publish my work on every cover. Obviously, it's my magazine, right? Yes. I didn't have to wait for somebody to like bid me in and say, yeah, she's good. No, I know I'm good. It's mine. Let's do it. And that really gave me the confidence to start activating and doing a lot of other things. The other thing that happened too, after I started the magazine, I decided to quit the magazine because, if you guys don't know, running a magazine is a lot of work. You got editors, you got writers. I mean, you got a whole lot of people that you have to oversee, right? And it was a lot of work. So after I transitioned out of that, I moved into having a juicing business with my husband. So my husband and I, we have a juicing business. And then I came to a brick road where it was just like, this is not working for me. At the time, I was a solopreneur working 100% off the income that I was working in my business. And one of the things that I realized that I needed to master, which was marketing. And I think a lot of people talk about, you know, mastering your craft and all of that stuff. Let me tell you, If you don't master your marketing, I don't know what else to tell you, because everything else is null and void if you don't know how to put yourself in front of people and know how to tell people about what you do. And that was my problem. Like, I had accumulated all these amazing skills from publishing to design to photography, yet and still I was still broke. I didn't have any money. I didn't have any clients, and I definitely didn't have people I wanted to work with. And it definitely wasn't no long-term aspect that was going to happen with that. So I came to a little brick road, and I decided that, okay, I need to take a step back and really look at what's going wrong. And this is when oh my God, like, I studied marketing day in, day out. I stayed in the house for a full year. I didn't go anywhere. I didn't go meet anybody, because I knew that my next mastery had to be marketing. So I studied online marketing. I studied offline marketing. I studied direct mail. I studied everything, sales, automation, marketing automation, sales funnels, sales systems. I mean, anything to do with marketing, I was on it, right? And I decided to revamp myself and stop operating as a company. And I got into branding myself, which is personal branding. And I must tell you, that was the best decision that I ever made, because I no longer had to have all of these different micro companies to shine my gifts. I could take all of my gifts and actually operate in them in full capacity. And I began to brand myself. So I developed a personal brand in 2014. And by this time, I had revamped all my pricing. I was very savvy when it came to marketing, and I launched myself online. Now, when I got online, a lot of people was kind of confused, because they was like, how is it this new girl know all this stuff? Nobody knew that I had took all this time to study and study and study and study and study, right? So when they discovered me, it was like I was just as equal as some of the people that they respected in the industry, because I didn't start off like a newbie. And I talk about this in my book, Starting Off Like a Pro from the Start, because if you want to be respected in what you do, you have to start off as a pro from the start. So I came out professional. Everything was going good. And then I began to start obtaining my first online client. My first online client was from Singapore. And then each client thereafter were all international. I'm talking about from Brazil to the UK to Africa. I mean, I was getting clients all over the globe. And to know that I went from this local Memphis city girl in Tennessee to this like online brand house lady, right? It was just amazing. And that's how, I got started, and the rest is history, because, for me, I got tired of being broke, and I decided that I wanted to master marketing. And if I would have never learned marketing, if I would have never started to begin to invest in myself, I would not even be sitting here talking to you. So that's how I got started.
Wow, that's a great story. And like, as I said earlier, like a meteoric rise to success. And I love, though, as well, that you say that you studied it, like, you focused on it and all the different elements. So it's not just online. It's
right.
a mixture of sales, it's online, it's offline, it's direct sales. So I think for people, they need to understand as well, like marketing is quite holistic. It's not just kind of like one strand. You're not just learning Twitter isn't marketing on its own, or, just one strand of it.
Right.
So it's great to hear you saying that, you took that time out, and you took that time, and that it takes that time and more to kind of really, for people to apply it, really, would you say?
Right.
And so what was the next step for you then? Because you mentioned you're writing a book, and I know you do a lot of live stream now. So maybe you'd like to tell us a bit about live stream and kind of where personal branding has brought you in terms of live stream.
Okay. So after I launched myself out there as a personal brand, I felt like all the people who were teaching branding really didn't know branding. And when I say no branding, I'm talking about the whole gamut of it, not just what is a mission statement, board and stuff like that. But I'm talking about strategically understanding how to make your design convert, what colors you should pick, how should you show up, what language should you use in your copy and your sales copy. And I felt like it was a huge gap. And then nobody ever told me, I don't think nobody ever even talk about this, how powerful building your personal brand is. A lot of people talk about starting a business and doing these things, but I have found that developing my personal brand has gotten me in more doors than me being a company. mainly because when you're operating as yourself, you're human, and you're able to have that human interaction and connection with the people that you're talking to. So for me, I was able to establish these relationships very, very quickly. And I realized that, when you brand yourself, you building a legacy, right?
Mm-hmm.
I can change up what I want to do. I'm not just stuck to this career. And one thing that people understand and respect and like about people is that people evolve, right?
Mm-hmm.
And people respect humans evolving, right? But when it comes to a company, right, you wouldn't go to McDonald's and be like, man, you're charging for straws now? Like, people get angry. But if you say yourself, look, you know what, I no longer want to do marketing. I now want to do healing work. People are going to respect that because you are evolving as a human. So when you're developing your personal brand, it gives you that flexibility to not be stuck into one industry or known for one thing. So that's why I got into personal branding. So I'm writing this book on it, and it's all about these 7 phases of building a profitable brand. And it's all about understanding your wheelhouse on what it takes to build a personal brand. And the way that I have been putting myself out there is through the form of live streaming, right? Getting on live, showing tutorials, doing videos, taking people really pretty much behind the scenes on how to develop their personal brand. And what's happening is my live streams looked so professional. People were asking me, how did you do it? How did you do it? How did you do it? And I'm like, well, I don't want to be known as the live streaming lady, but people will not stop asking me. So I decided to develop the class, and I developed the class, and now we have over 128 students at the time of the recording. So I'm impressed, but it's excited because that means that people really want to know about how to live stream and leverage that in their business.
Yeah, definitely, for sure. And I know earlier you referenced, and just before we got started, you were talking about branding is live marketing. And
yes.
I just love that term. That's a great term, actually, live marketing, for sure.
Right.
Do you want to tell people a little bit about, we'll say, even like your personality, like your brand? So people that have never met you before, have never seen you before. So what's your brand?
My brand, you mean like, what is it as a whole?
Yeah,
like,
what does it mean?
Okay, so,
like, what does it mean, like your personal brand?
Okay, so my personal brand is all about being uncloned, okay?
Okay.
Not looking and sounding and feeling like everybody else. You have a lot of people who buy into these cookie cutter programs where people say stuff like, get my swipe file, and you don't have to think about anything, and just do my thing and you'll be good. Mm-hmm. And you know how much that strips you from your original identity, right? If I give you this thing, right, and I tell you, do it just like this, that means that I have no respect for who you are as an individual, because you might not be loud like me. You might be very quiet and reserved, right? You might not be all cheerful and happy. You might be serious, right? And I don't think that people take that into consideration when they're developing their programs. And that's why you have a lot of people when things don't work for them, because you got somebody who was like super excited, super extra, teach you this program. And then they have these people who are like, they never got on a camera to save their life, and they're wondering why things are not working out for them, right? It was, you have to think about that when you're developing things for people, right? So when people come to me, I'm the girl you come to when you don't want to look, sound, and feel like everybody else. You want to be different, and you want to do it according to your tune and not the tune that I have outlaid for myself, if that makes sense.
Sure. I love that. And I love that you say that, actually, because there is a lot of that, the 6 steps too, and my blueprint. And like, because I always say to people, kind of like yourself, I always say, if everyone else is going left, go right.
Right, exactly.
Be different, Yeah. And I think what you're kind of talking about as well is critical thinking. So in other words, they can learn from you and then apply it to themselves. Because like, I think, I'd be kind of a quieter personality, whereas you're more, like laughing, and you're kind of more boisterous, whereas like I'm just like not that. So if you said to me today that I'd be like, oh my God, it would just it would come across very silly, because clearly it's not quite me. So I have to adapt kind of what you will be saying to me so that it works for me, and equally obviously other people listening. It's about adapting and being you. But I really like the idea of the live marketing, and also you mentioned legacy as well. So could you just talk a little bit around that, we'll say, in terms of, I guess, how often would you live stream? Like, what do you think people should be doing? Should they be out in a field? Should they be, you know, like, kind of, have you any ideas for them, like in terms of, okay, what, because the biggest thing I hear is, well, what will I talk about? You know,
that's a hard question. So this is why I feel like this question is not hard, right? I feel like that's not a hard question, because if you are already actively marketing, live streaming is easy, right? I'll give you an example. So everybody was talking about webinars at one point. You remember webinars were hot. Do a webinar. Do a webinar. Sell. Webinars are hot right now, right? So everybody got started with doing webinars, right? What's wrong with you taking that same webinar and just going live with it? What if you just killed the funnel and just went live with this webinar? Now, I know I'm getting a lot of slack for this. Oh, you're not collecting emails? Oh, unclone. I told you, unclone, right? So, you know, but I'm going to tell you, ever since I dropped the email, the barrier to entry, right? Ever since I dropped that, I still get the same amount of emails and subscribes organically, because people have enjoyed what I have to say from seeing it without having to opt in. It's like people want the freedom of being able to watch what they want to watch, just like TV, right? You know, you don't want to be forced on TV to watch this one particular show or do this one particular thing, right? So if you get that freedom in TV, why can't you have that freedom in content that you get? Why do I have, you know, just think about it. If you were at home, you was watching the TV, going through the channels, and every time you go to each channel, it said, give me your name and email, right? Give me your name and email. No, I just want to watch music videos. No, give me your name and email. And what live streaming does, it gives you the same flexibility as TV has, right? And, you know, what would you live stream about? What you typically would live stream about now. Tell people about the basics, dumb down your content so people can understand what it is that you do. How can you help them? How can people get in contact with you? What are some frequently asked questions that people ask you repeatedly? Make live streams about that. I've been taking my to-do list and creating live streams out of that. So it's so many different things to live stream about. But the bigger question is, how are you currently marketing? And you basically want to ask yourself, how do I make that live? You know?
Great. I love that. Terrific answer. I think there's some great ideas there for people, like be it to-do list, be it, you know, kind of what's the typical questions you're getting asked. It also reminds me as well of, there's a guy in the States, Rand Fishkin. Have you come across him?
No.
He talks about the nudge principle. He's a marketer. I can't remember what company he works for. He's a really good marketer. He's written a couple of books and all the rest of it. But he talks about the nudge principle, which is kind of like what you're saying. So in other words, you're drawing people towards you. So instead of like that barrier, like you're saying, you're pushing them away, you're saying, hey, come on in here. This is exciting. This is good. I've got some information. If you'd like, you know, so they have the choice. They're not.
Thank you. That's the whole point. Having the choice.
Which is really important, because as you say, otherwise it's like, okay, I would kind of like a peep at that program, but now I've got to give my email, my phone number, my address, and it's like, okay, what else? And then they send me a darn email.
My whole life.
Yeah.
Just to take a peek.
Yeah. They sent me 10 emails in 3 days, and I'm like, oh, seriously? Like, I know I had one lady I signed up to, and I was like, I feel like I'm her best friend. I mean, like, what's going on? You know? Like, I don't talk to my mother. I don't see as much. I don't, you know.
Right.
You know? So, but I love the choice. And actually, if you look at Mari Smith, actually, or Michael Stelzner, a couple of kind of like, if you like, leaders, if you like, in marketing, who are at the top of their game and all the rest of it, a lot of them are doing live stream, and they give great content, like Audria does, where they're just natural and funny and laughing. But they do kind of say, hey, I'll drop a link into the comments if you guys want. So there is a choice.
Right.
And I think that's the important point there, isn't it? It's where people go, well, hey, actually, that was really good. I actually quite enjoyed that. So I will give my email address.
I want to give you my email address. Matter of fact, I've done live streams where I don't ask for name and email, and, you know, magically people find me.
Yeah.
my website and they fill out my contact form. Like, they will find you and voluntarily give you their email address, and they will share you like crazy. Like, oh my God, I just got to tell everybody, I have gotten the best fans and the best quality of people by not asking them to opt in first, because I'm able to establish this relationship with them first and then letting them make that decision.
Yeah. It's kind of like that dating analogy, isn't it? It's like you don't ask people to jump into bed on the first date. Well, you could, but they're probably going to run the opposite direction.
Right.
So pretty quickly. And it's kind of the same thing, really, isn't it? Because it's like they give you the email address, just supposing from your website or whatever the case is. But it's like, oh, because I sometimes wonder, did I actually sign up for that? I don't actually remember.
We forget because the transaction is so fast.
Correct. Yes.
You know, when you go to an opt-in page, it's bam, bam, bam. But when you watch a live stream,
you remember it
and chill and
admire
the person.
It as well. I think it kind of engenders emotion. So you remember the experience. It's actually an experience.
Thank you. Yes.
It's experiential marketing. That's actually what it is, because, you know, it's like you're happy. It's like you learn something. So instead of like just getting a dumb, I'm going to sound very bad now, not a dumb email, but just in case of getting an email or just kind of very bland or very vanilla type of content. So the person has to open it up and they have to do this, and it's actually quite a lot of work. Whereas at the other end of the scale, then you've got Audria, who's like, hey guys, I'm here. It's live. She makes it easy. She makes it happy. So if I go on her live streams, and I've been on some of your live streams, and it's a case of you kind of go away going, that's food for thought. Actually, that's really interesting. Oh, I must sign up there. That's actually good. So it's not this thing that I have to, but I'm learning. And it's Audria. I feel like people are becoming part of your community and using. And part of that is enjoying that experience. And I think it's one of the closest as well to kind of like a workshop or a live.
It's just as close as doing a live event. That's why I love live streaming. I don't have to go and rent some big hotel. I don't have to go and, you know, try to get 30,000 speakers to come to my event. I could just set up shop in my home and hello guys. Oh, okay. What's going on? Come on in. So,
which is great. Which is lovely. And I think it's much nicer because it's more fluid and it's less static.
Yes.
It's less kind of rigid. Plus it gives people like all of us a platform from which we can be heard. But the thing is, I think for some people, I'm just wondering if you have any advice for those that don't particularly like putting themselves out there, that do have something to share, but actually feeling a bit shy. Have you any kind of tips for them? Anything that you can think of?
Excuse me. I'm trying to say a response without being goofy. Okay, so you know Flo, right? Do you watch any of the American commercials?
Sorry, I'm wicked bad, so I'm gonna have to be really honest. I don't think I've seen that one at all.
Okay, so Flo, the progressive lady, right? If you just go Google Flo, the progressive lady, she actually has her own personality for the Progressive Insurance, right? Okay. Nobody knows who the CEO is of Progressive. However, they know Flo, right? Because here come Flo every other commercial. You're like, there go Flo, there go my buddy, right? And I just feel like in this day and time, and it's just my opinion, if you don't want to be front and center in some level or some capacity, you're not going to really get as far as somebody who wants to be out front and center, right?
Yeah.
You know, and if you want to be behind the scenes, that's fine. But at some day and time, people are going to want to request your presence. Even some of the best CEOs get asked to speak at conferences and things like that. They may not necessarily want to be seen, but at some point you're going to be asked to come to the forefront. And when you do get asked, how are you going to respond to that? So I'm not saying that, you know, if you're shy and all of that stuff, that, oh my God, you're not going to ever be anything, but it will limit you and stifle you if you don't get over that fear.
Yeah. And, you know, you're 100% right, for sure. Because the thing about it is, if people don't know you, if they've never heard of you, if, you know, they haven't seen you, if they haven't got to know you, it's only a website or it's something bland, they can't get to know you. So whereas at the other side of the coin, Audrey is putting herself out there, you know, she's saying, hi guys, I'm here today, I'm talking about this. So they get a sense of her style, they get a sense of her knowledge, they get a sense of, hey, that's a really good course she has, you know. So at every point they're clocking, as customers or potential customers, well, actually, I'd like that. Actually, or they'd refer you perhaps. So I'm just wondering, we'll say, since you've started live stream, what's the impact on your business, would you say?
OMG. I have not had to spend any money not as much money as I used to spend on Facebook ads. So my Facebook ad spend is extremely low, if any. My followers have grown like really, really like crazy. Just in the past close to 53 days, we've brought in $25,000 as a result of live streaming. So wow. I know it works. Yeah. Could I have done that with the traditional funnel? Absolutely. But I have not been able to build a community like I'm doing now with live streaming. To me, it's better than doing a Facebook group. It's better than doing all of this stuff that people tell you have to do, because the cool thing about live streaming is that it organically puts you in front of new people all day, every day. Yeah. Yeah. But you can't get that from, you can, but you got to pay for it, right?
Yeah. And I think as well what it does do, because I noticed, because last year, I don't know if you were ever on Blab, and I quite liked Blab last year. I was on that quite a lot. But live stream in general, I think for me as well, and I don't know what you think about this, Audria, but it gives people a voice that normally maybe wouldn't be heard, or it allows you a different voice. So like, for example, there's obviously quite a lot of online marketers, but when you actually go online, they can have, very slick marketing, and it's a case of a toss up, like who will I go with? Whereas if they hear you speak, that's actually can be the differentiation factor. Yeah. They're kind of like, hey, I love what she says. Or sometimes, where, the personality mightn't come across as well on a website for whatever reason, or the person, whereas if they see you on live stream, they're like, hey, that's brilliant. I love what she says. I have to work with that person.
Right.
So it kind of, because I know before when I started off in business, I used to do a lot of, talks and whatever, and it's the same idea. Obviously it's live stream, but just obviously smaller audience, and you get more feedback than you do if you're just kind of, because a lot of people online, they're sitting in their sitting room or their office, and they're waiting for the customers to come to them.
It's not happening.
Yeah.
Look, let me tell you, Sunday I was like, I ain't gonna live stream, and then I said, I'm gonna live stream. Made 3 sales.
Wow.
Today made 4 sales for live streaming. Every day I'm getting a sale because I'm actively putting myself in front of people. And every time I go live, matter of fact, earlier today, we've gotten at least 30 new followers today on Periscope just by going live. And the reason I say live streaming as opposed to picking a particular platform is because you can go live anywhere. You can go live on YouTube. You can go live on Facebook. You can go live on Periscope. It's just about being seen and being accessible when your ideal client has a question.
I like that. The accessibility, that's actually a great one. Great stuff. And can I just ask you, actually, just as a matter of interest, because I know a lot of people will be thinking, we made 4 sales and, a couple of sales, whatever, the last couple of days. Do you think, we'll say, being on live stream, that it's for like a specific price frame, do you feel? Like, so no. For example, do you think it can be like a $2,000 course, or it could be like a $3,000 website, or it could be like a $50 offering? So do you think like I'm just curious.
I don't think it's a price benchmark, but I do feel like the invitation needs to be different. So for an example, if I'm selling something that's like $500, I can just ask for that. That's not really a high amount. But if I'm asking for $2,000, I don't need to pitch that live. Sure. It needs to be something like, we need to go back to our funnel thinking. Yes. Let's get them on a call. Yeah. I can go from live to calendar requests. I don't have to worry about having fancy copy or anything. If they like what I had to say, I can say, hey, go to this website, apply for an appointment, and they do that. And I still have the same goal of trying to sell something $2,000 or more.
Okay. I love that differentiation. That's fantastic. So again, just to remind people, she's saying like, you're more accessible when you're online. It's live marketing. You're also like, the invitation is there. So people can, if it's $50, as you say, up to $500, you can ask for it online. Whereas if it's a higher ticket item, it's something where, again, you might need a more one-to-one, because it's just, I suppose, a higher value. So you might just need to clarify certain things for people. But I mean, the thing about it is, though, it just creates new opportunities, doesn't it?
Yes. I mean, on demand, though, that's the beauty of it. You can literally create a no opportunity into an opportunity just by hitting that red little button. Go live.
And tell me, do you schedule them out then, or do you?
I'm organic.
Okay.
Like I just go when I feel like it. Like right now, when we get done, I'm gonna go live. It's just I love it. But you're talking to a girl that used to be terrified of the camera,
right? Even though you're behind the camera.
Now I'm like, hey y'all.
Well, that's great, because obviously your confidence and everything like that is coming to the fore, which is great to see. And just going back to your personal branding, what would you say is your personal brand on live stream? So what's your personal brand, and what type of person?
What's the tone that people get when they watch me on live stream? Mm-hmm. They know that I'm straightforward, in your face, tell it like it is, no fluff, and passionately though. They can see the passion and the love that I have. But they also know that they're not coming to a cookie cutter broadcast. They can expect something new every single day, because I'm always evolving mentally, right? Yeah. So
yeah, which I think is great, because there's a guy, I don't know if you've heard of him, Mark Schaefer. He wrote a couple of books on content marketing, and I saw him just posting online the other day on Facebook, and he was like, oh my God, everybody's doing the same thing. Like, as in it's the same type of content. And so he was kind of making the point that he had kind of gone to the bother of looking at a couple of websites, marketers, like other marketers. And he said, oh my God, they're all so similar. It's so people are kind of copying each other. So I think what's great about you is that you're kind of putting your stake in the ground, and you're saying, hey guys, this is me, this is what I do, I can help you with X, Y, and Z. It's very natural,
right?
Which is great. So people kind of getting to know you as well as your brand and as well as your business, and get a sense of who you are and what it would be like to work with you. So I think that kind of goes back as well to brand values, would it not? Like, in terms of your values are kind of in your business as well, would you say?
Yeah, like I value being honest. I just feel like it's so many people who are selling these fake dreams to people, and they're giving people false hope. So I'm the person who's going to take away all of that and get straight to the meat.
You mean you're not going to sell the Eiffel Tower?
No, I'm not. You're not getting it. We're going to get straight to it,
Good stuff, yeah. There's some great comedy on some of that, and I think it's refreshing to hear somebody say, be yourself, be different, learn, apply the learnings to who you are, and not be kind of doing the same as everybody else. Because here's the thing, we're all different, so we're all going to take our own spin on it. So just in terms of, I guess, you talk as well about legacy. So for example, you're doing live stream now, and I'm going to put you on the spot here. So 2017, but even 2018, like in terms of doing live stream now, how do you feel, like what foundation is that creating for you, do you feel, in your business?
I feel like I'm going to, all the big time YouTubers who got really big with YouTubing, right?
Sure.
I feel like I'm going to have that same level of status, but with live streaming.
Okay.
Because, YouTube is pre-recorded, right? Pre-recorded, pre-production, and they have a little schedule where they put it out. Live streaming, on the flip side, is live real-time interaction, and that's what people really, really want. They want to be able to touch and feel what you bring to the table. So for me, I see myself being just like those really big, high-paid YouTubers, but instead just live streaming.
Nice.
So that's what I predict. That's what I predict for a lot of people who adopted now. Think about all the people who I'm gonna go on YouTube and start a channel today. YouTube is getting a little old school. You know what I mean?
Utilizing that particular one. But I'm just wondering, is there a particular platform you feel works best for you, or do you just kind of say, hey, I'm just going to go for it and put myself out across all the platforms and see what comes back?
I've been repurposing my content a lot. That has been very effective. Like, I give you an example. I took a Periscope from yesterday, brought it over to Facebook. Like, for instance, on Periscope, I had 6 viewers, about 20 comments, and I'm like, okay, whatever. It was Sunday. And I was like, well, how would it do on Facebook? Took that same video, brought it over to Facebook, got 3 shares, 300 views, 150 comments, just from switching the same one little piece of content. So I would say diversify. Don't be just stuck on one platform, because if Periscope was my only thing and I wasn't like into Facebook, then I would have missed those sales yesterday.
Yes,
because those sales came from Facebook. Yeah. Right, exactly.
Okay. And I think as well that goes back to kind of what you were talking about earlier, like in terms of the sales, so like a sales funnel. So I think if you're on Periscope, if you're on a couple of them, like you're capturing more people. So of course, you know, in terms of sales, you're going to have higher sales because you're kind of initially talking, like it's a numbers game, really, isn't it?
Right. That's all marketing is numbers.
Yeah. As sad as it is, that is very true. So, okay, well, there's some great nuggets in there. And in particular, I said, I love the live marketing. I think you've coined a new phrase there, actually. Legacy. And I like the idea of the legacy of creating a legacy for yourself. And even going forward, as you say, in the future, there's no reason why you can't be one of the early adopters, and therefore, you know, the go-to person. So social media marketing world, here you come in 2 years.
Right.
But you know, it's kind of people that have made it work for them, isn't it? You know, it's who's been able to learn it, do it, adopt it, make it work, get people on there, create a community, all the rest of it. I mean, it's the thing is, not everybody can replicate that. You know,
right?
It's a skill. Like without a doubt. I know early on, actually, on Periscope, there was a guy, an Irish guy actually, and he was in Brussels, no, Amsterdam, one of them anyway. And but he was great. He wasn't in marketing, but what he was doing was he was on his little bicycle, and every day he'd cycle along. He was like a tour guide around Brussels. Like,
yeah.
Hey, and he was just one of these people. He was really interesting to listen to. He was like a proper kind of like, there's the boats and I can hire a boat. Now I'm going to stop off and get an ice cream. And then he's like, okay, I'm at work now. See you guys later. But it was actually quite interesting to listen to, because
people want that kind of stuff, because my mom, this is what my mom did. That's why I'm sitting here laughing and smiling. My mom was like, Audria, I'm in Paris today. I'm like, no, you're in Tennessee.
Yeah.
You're not in Paris. But she really would find guys like that person,
right,
who are going around their city, showing people different things, and she's just in the house like in awe, right?
Yes.
Because if you live there, you like whatever, that girl, that whatever, right?
Yeah.
But when you not there, or you don't have the funds to get that experience, live streaming captures that.
Yeah, absolutely. It's actually, when you say like that, it's actually nearly like reading a book.
Yes. A live book.
Yeah, it is. Yeah, for sure. Because the thing about it is, when you read, and like not everybody's into reading and all the rest of it. So if you're not into reading, it's actually the next best thing, because it gives you an insight into other people's lives, like in terms of being that they're in Paris or wherever it is in the world. But you wouldn't get to see that unless somebody does a live stream. So, you know, it's the opportunities, like for tourist boards, for people in that industry, or for hotels even, or like there's so many different industries that can actually leverage live.
They need to use it. Like
it's
just
for sure.
I can't begin to tell you how many times I will see a live stream and be like, I'm going to buy that. Didn't know this person prior to, got on their live. Like for instance, there's a lady on live on Periscope yesterday. She has these head wraps that she has designed. They're already wrapped, so I don't have to buy it and wrap it myself. And I'm like, that is genius. Where do I go? I'm like, ready to buy, but I didn't know her prior to coming into her room, her broadcast room. So the discoverability of it too is high. You know, being able to be discovered.
Excellent. I like that. It kind of reminds you, you know, the way you hear about models being discovered. So I think it's about businesses. So discover businesses online. So.
Exactly.
I'm just writing down these phrases. I always have to write these down. I'm a nerd.
Yeah, me too. Look, me too.
But yeah, so it's great. And I mean, I'm hoping that people listening in as well, because I know a lot of them kind of have smaller businesses and they're wondering how to get their name out there. Like this one lady, actually, I was at an event there recently, and I knew her, but I didn't. She does you know, oils and stuff, and she actually had a strategy oil. And I nearly fell over. I was like, oh, what? You know, and but there's a live stream, you know, where whatever people are doing, it could be hats, it could be clothes, it could be behind the scenes, if they're cooking, you know, whatever it is. I mean, if you're cooking, I want to know, although probably I want to eat it too, but
give me the details.
Yes, exactly. Send the dish, please. But yeah, so I'm just wondering, we'll say in terms of people listening in, and again, there's a wide diversity of people listening from all over the world, I have to add. So I have a lot of people, I think about 60% of them are the States, and then I've got a mixture of the UK, we've got Ireland, we've got Europe, Australia and whatnot. So just, it's quite a diverse group. So have you any kind of nuggets of wisdom for people, like in terms of personal branding on one side and live stream on the other?
They go together. They're like boyfriend and girlfriend. So it's like they actually complement each other, right? Mm-hmm. Every time that I go live, I'm putting more emphasis on my brand, Audria Richmond. Mm-hmm. And I don't see them one being greater than the other. I see them going together.
Okay, I like that. Good answer. And I'm just wondering as well, just a quick one, because I think this is something I've heard people asking, and sometimes I'm kind of even thinking myself, but it's a case of, you know, should people do it from their personal profile, say if you're on Facebook, for example, or should they do it from their business profile, or obviously if they've got groups and whatnot? So what's your recommendation for people, like all three, or is it different? I mean, it depends what you're doing. All three. Okay, good stuff.
All three. Because I find that when I go live from my personal page, I get way more engagement than I do for my business page. Now, you do get better analytics and better data. Sure. And Facebook also creates custom audiences when you go from your business page. Mm-hmm. But I want the engagement more than I want a custom audience from Facebook. Sure. So I go where the engagement is, because that's more important to me.
Yeah, it actually just strikes me there as you're speaking, because, you know, when you go to a city and there's like the busiest street, mm-hmm. and I think part of what you're saying there is like going on the busiest street where the most people can hear you and see you, you know, you're kind of performing mm-hmm. there, whereas otherwise you're just down a side street.
Right.
As in, you know, like you're like you're limiting how many people can hear you and see you.
Yes.
So which do you want to be, on a side street or a main street?
Right. So, you want a storefront or the back street? You know, you get to choose. That's how it works.
Think football.
Right. I mean, you got big companies, they pay a good deal of money to be front and center, right?
Yeah. You know, and I mean, the thing is, going forward, there's plenty of opportunity for people like yourself who are early adopters, where companies start to identify, it's like, hey, that lady Audria, you know, because then you've got the stats behind you. And it's
sponsorship. It opens up so many doors for sponsorships, partnerships.
Yeah.
It'd be no problem getting affiliate marketing and all of that stuff, because people are like, well, you got the numbers, you got the followers. So I'm just focusing on growth, you know.
You'd be like the new Bond, you know, the Bond films.
Exactly.
They've all the cars and like it's all branded stuff. So you'll be like, here's my Calvin Klein, I don't know, whatever watch, and here's my, you know, you can fling it up.
And people get paid, but you know, the thing about it is these big companies want to pay us. Because their marketing on the TV doesn't work as effective as it does if I say, hey, Emma, rock this Michael Kors bag in your next live stream, and we're gonna pay you X amount of dollars.
Yes.
Well, why not?
Yeah.
You're gonna naturally do it anyway.
Yeah. Yeah. Exactly. So Kardashians, watch out. Audria Richmond is on the case.
Right.
But even obviously, like, it can be marketing products, it can be software, it doesn't have to be clothes necessarily.
The stuff that you naturally use. Like, I'm using this microphone. Mm-hmm. This Yeti mic, I can contact and be like, what's up, Yeti?
Yeah.
How's the girl, you know? So, I mean, it's just a matter of what you feel like doing, you know?
Yeah, for sure. And again, that comes back to analytics and stuff as well, where you'll need to say to people, I've got 1,000 people coming a week or a month or whatever it is. And obviously those stats will sound. And the thing is, quite a lot of the time is what do you call it? Discoverability. It's another new word. So
a new word.
Yeah. They're coining new words and phrases here, left, right, and center. Which is great. So look, I mean, you have shared so many nuggets of wisdom there. So again, just, you know, is there anything else? Because I know you've got a client to jump on with as well. So is there anything else you'd like to say to people, would say, you know, in general about business and marketing that you feel would help them on their journey?
Yes, understand. Like, this is the number one thing people are not talking about as it relates to marketing. Track. You cannot know how effective your marketing is if you're not tracking. And also, don't do any marketing that you can't track. The reason I live stream, because I can track that. Mm-hmm. The reason that most people pay for ads, they can track that. So you want to stay away from marketing you can't track and embrace the marketing you can track, because it's going to let you know where you should be spending your time at. And really get to a point where you are comfortable with yourself. And it also means that trusting what you have to say. You know, when people say, well, how do you be yourself? Trust what you have to say. Trust what you believe in. Trust what you think is going to happen. You don't need 15 opinions before you go do something. You got people in these Facebook groups and they ask the question, so what do you think about this? And 300 comments come. Do you know what that does to your brain? Yeah. You just asked 300 people with 300 different personalities, with 300 different living environments and situations and lifestyles. What you think about my thing, right? So getting to a point where you don't have to ask people, what do you think? And it took me a long time to get to a point where I actually trust what I believe and trust what I have to say.
That's a great tip. Thank you, actually, because I do see a lot of those. And I think people are trying to be helpful, of course. But like you say, you actually won't make a decision because you're pulled in every which way.
Yes.
So it's about trusting yourself, obviously. And also, I think getting good advice from people that know your situation and actually also have your best interest at heart. I think that's another one.
And they have all the details.
Yes.
You can't ask a question and then think about it after they just rip you to shreds and say, well, I forgot to add I was new. Well, that would have been good to know in the initial thing, you know.
That's why pick up the phone, talk to people, meet them. That's why live works, because people get to hear you. You can explain. Sometimes it's actually it's hard to say in a text or even an email or even we'll say on a Facebook post. It's actually hard to get across the kind of the meanings behind the words, where people hear you, they can hear your inflection and your tone of voice and all the rest of it. So I think it means more to people for sure. So I think going forward, ask a question live stream.
Right.
if you must ask one.
And if you don't know who your ideal client is, trust me, they're going to tell you. The people on the live stream, they will tell you.
Great. Good stuff. Well, Audria, look, I would like to thank you so very much. This has been a really enlightening session. You've been absolutely amazing. And also, I'd like to thank you very much because I know you've shared this quite a bit, and I'd like to thank you. And actually, you know, I think it shows as well, like, that you have a very strong community, because you've had a couple of people that actually connected with me as well. And, you know, what seems to be lovely is they're bumping people up. In other words, they're like, hey, that's so great, you're doing this. So, and I think that's great sign of a community that you're building, is that the people in your community are happy to be happy for other people too, and that they love success. And
yes,
that's amazing. So thank you so very much.
Thank you.
All the way from Georgia to Ireland. Isn't the internet great? Yeah. So the other thing is, how do people contact you? So if somebody wants to work with you or see you on live stream, what's the best way to contact you?
I am Audria Richmond across the board on Facebook, Periscope, YouTube, AudriaRichmond.com, everywhere, even on iTunes. Audria Richmond, and I promise you will find me.
Good stuff. And again, guys, listen to her live streams. She has loads of really good content to share, really good advice. You can see here just from listening today, and it's all happy. You'll come away so happy and knowledgeable. So I think, you know, Audria has done a fantastic job this evening. I invite you all to come on her live streams to listen to her. And I know she's several mini courses and other courses and things she's doing out there. If anybody needs help with their branding, I think Audria is a very good lady to speak to at the very least.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
Not at all. Well, listen, again, thank you so much. I said, I know you've got a client to go to. So again, from Ireland and from the Marketing Success Summit, I'd like to thank you so much. And I hope to talk to you very soon in the future. So thanks so much.
Bye.
Quite stopped recording. My computer is going dead.
Oh, okay.
Give me a sec. Nearly there. Okay, cool. Well, look, Audria, thank you so much. That was really awesome. I really do appreciate your time, because I know you're strapped for time. And again, if you ever want any help putting out some of your, like, sharing out something you're selling or anything like that, let me know.
Yay!
If you have, you know, because I know you're doing some of the live stream, do you have even